Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Mystery Channel. Tonight, we'll be exploring some of history's most fascinating lost cities. These are places that were built with ambition, filled with life, and then left behind in ways we still do not fully understand. Some were buried by disaster, some were swallowed by forests, while others slipped beneath the sea or simply faded from memory until a clue brought them back to life. What makes these cities so fascinating is not only that they vanished, it is that they suggest whole worlds may have existed without us even knowing. All it takes is one simple discovery to completely transform the history books. A hidden road in the jungle, a wall under the sea, or a strange artifact might be clues of an entirely unknown civilization. Tonight, we will wander through those questions and explore the possibility that our past was far more complex than we thought. If you enjoy these curious journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is get settled in. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing slow, and allow your mind to settle into stillness as we embark on this mysterious journey together. Let's begin. Atlantis is one of history's most famous cities, yet it has never been found. Plato placed it beyond the Pillars of Hercules, ruled by powerful kings, wealthy enough to challenge the known world, and doomed after its people lost their virtue. That is already a strange beginning, because the story arrives through philosophy rather than excavation. Yet it has refused to behave like a simple moral tale. Searchers have looked toward the Atlantic, the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and even Antarctica. Some people see memories of a real flood disaster hidden inside the legend. Others think Plato borrowed fragments from older Egyptian accounts, then shaped them into a warning about pride. The most fascinating part is that Atlantis leaves almost no hard evidence, but it keeps producing serious questions. Why does one ancient story feel so specific? Why did later generations treat it like a map? And why does the idea of a vanished supercity still feel possible, even now? Machu Picchu was hidden from the wider world for centuries. High in the Andes, this Inca citadel remained known to local families, while the outside world mostly forgot it existed. When Hiram Bingham reached the site in the early 20th century, he thought he had found something much larger than a royal retreat. The stonework seemed too careful, the setting too dramatic, and the terraces too deliberate to be a random mountain refuge. Later research changed the interpretation, but it did not remove the mystery. The builders created walls that fit tightly without mortar, channels that guided water with precision, and sacred spaces aligned with the surrounding peaks. Some people believe it was a palace. Others see a ceremonial center tied to the sun, the mountains, and Inca ideas about the living landscape. What makes it unforgettable is not just its survival. It is the feeling that the city was placed exactly where earth and sky seemed to meet. Pompeii froze an entire Roman city inside a sudden disaster. When Vesuvius erupted in the year 79, ash sealed streets, homes, shops, and painted rooms with astonishing detail. Most lost cities fade slowly, but this one stopped almost at once. That is why walking through it feels different from exploring ordinary ruins. You can see political messages on walls, bread ovens ready for work, dining rooms with bright frescoes, and stepping stones across ancient roads. Even the small details have power, because they show daily life rather than only monuments. The mystery is not whether Pompeii existed, but how much of Roman life we misunderstood before it was uncovered. New discoveries still change old assumptions. DNA studies have challenged stories once built around famous casts. Fresh excavations keep revealing rooms, objects, and social clues. A city that seemed frozen in one moment is still speaking in new ways, and its voice is far more complicated than expected. Derinkuyu sheltered thousands of people beneath the Cappadocian ground. In Turkey's strange volcanic landscape, a hidden city drops through many levels of carved rock. It had living spaces, storage rooms, wells, ventilation shafts, churches, and stone doors that could be rolled shut from inside. The scale feels almost unbelievable when you imagine families, animals, food, and supplies moving through narrow passages under the earth. Scholars often connect its deeper use to periods of danger, when communities needed protection from invasion or persecution. Yet the deeper question is, how long people had been modifying these underground networks before history clearly records them. Some people wonder whether Cappadocia preserves an older survival tradition passed down through generations who knew the surface could become unsafe without warning. The engineering is not flashy, but it is deeply impressive. This was not a cave hideout. It was an underground system built for endurance, secrecy, and collective discipline. The Amazon may have hidden cities beneath the forest canopy. For a long time, many people imagined the ancient rainforest as too wild for large urban societies. That picture has changed. Satellite imagery, laser scanning, and ground surveys have revealed earthworks, roads, garden settlements, raised fields, and traces of managed landscapes across huge areas. Older accounts from early European travelers suddenly sound less impossible, because some described busy river communities that later disappeared after disease and disruption. The mystery is not only where the cities were. It is whether the forest itself is partly a human inheritance. Dark, fertile soils, altered tree patterns, and geometric earthworks suggest ancient people may have shaped the Amazon in ways that were forgotten, then mistaken for untouched nature. Some people go even further and wonder whether far larger centers remain hidden under trees. The canopy can conceal a wall, a road, or an entire pattern of settlement for centuries. Nan Madol rises from the sea with unexplained stone engineering. Off Pompeii in Micronesia, artificial islets hold walls made from long basalt columns, stacked like giant logs beside tidal canals. The setting is so unusual that visitors often compare it to a city built on water, yet its real story is tied to the Ciudad dynasty and the political power of the island. The stones are heavy, the source areas are distant, and the movement of material across water remains a major point of fascination. Local traditions speak of powerful figures and extraordinary methods, while archaeology looks at organization, labor, and social control. Both ways of seeing the place add to its force. It is easy to understand why alternative writers have imagined lost technology or forgotten visitors from elsewhere. Even without those ideas, the achievement is remarkable. A small island society created a ceremonial center that still feels almost impossible in its setting. Ciudad Perdida was built centuries before Machu Picchu. Deep in Colombia's Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, stone terraces climb through dense forest, linked by paths and stairways that feel designed for a world apart. The city is associated with the Torona people, and its construction likely began around the early medieval period. That makes it far older than the famous Inca citadel many travelers know better. Its rediscovery in the 20th century brought attention from outsiders, but indigenous communities in the region had never treated the mountain as empty. This is one reason the place carries a different kind of mystery. It is not only about lost architecture. It is about whose memory counts as history. More than 100 terraces, circular house platforms, and paved routes suggest a society with order, planning, and sacred geography. Some people wonder how many related settlements still remain under vegetation, connected by paths that modern maps barely understand. Helike vanished so completely that ancient writers sounded impossible. In ancient Greece, this city was said to have been destroyed by an earthquake and swallowed by water in a single catastrophic night. Later, writers described ruins visible beneath the surface, almost like a warning preserved below the waves. For centuries, that sounded too dramatic to be real. Then investigations in the northern Peloponnese found evidence not in the open sea, but in a former lagoon now buried in land. That twist made the old accounts more intriguing, because landscape can change so much that a vanished coastline becomes dry ground. Some have suggested the disaster helped inspire later ideas about cities punished by the sea, including comparisons with Atlantis. Whether or not that connection is true, Helike proves that ancient reports can carry real memory inside exaggeration. A place dismissed as legend became a physical site again, and the impossible story became harder to ignore. Dwarka keeps raising questions beneath the waters of India. Along India's western coast, tradition connects this sacred city with Krishna and with stories of a magnificent settlement lost to the sea. Marine surveys near modern Dwarka and Dwarka have found anchors, stone structures, and signs of ancient maritime activity. The hard question is how those remains relate to the epic accounts. Some researchers treat them as evidence of long coastal occupation and trade. Others believe they may preserve a historical core behind a revered story. The sea complicates everything, because currents move objects, shorelines shift, and dating underwater material can be difficult. That uncertainty is exactly what keeps the mystery alive. In one direction, there is archaeology. In another, there is scripture, pilgrimage, and cultural memory. Between them sits a question that feels larger than a ruin. Could a mythic city be partly rooted in a real drowned landscape? Great Zimbabwe challenges old assumptions about lost African kingdoms. In southern Africa, massive stone walls rise without mortar, forming enclosures, towers, and passageways from shaped granite blocks. For years, colonial writers tried to deny that local African builders created it, because the achievement did not fit their prejudice. That false claim collapsed under evidence, but the deeper story remains fascinating. The site was tied to cattle wealth, gold trade, political authority, and connections reaching toward Indian Ocean networks. Objects from distant places suggest that this inland capital was not isolated. It was part of a much wider world. The mystery is not whether its builders were capable, because they clearly were. The mystery is how the city organized power, ceremony, and trade across a broad region with so few written records. Some people see its conical tower as a symbolic structure. Others focus on social control. Either way, Great Zimbabwe forces history to widen its frame. Angkor was once a vast city swallowed by jungle. For many visitors, Angkor means temples, towers, and carved stone faces. Yet modern scanning has revealed something even more astonishing. Around the famous monuments lay a huge urban landscape with roads, reservoirs, channels, embankments, and neighborhoods spread across a scale that earlier explorers could not fully see from the ground. The forest did not simply hide a few ruins. It hid the shape of a city. Angkor's mystery is partly about water, because the Khmer world depended on managing floods, storage, and agriculture with extraordinary ambition. When climate stress and political pressure struck, that system may have become difficult to maintain. Some people see a warning about overcomplex societies. Others wonder whether sacred design and engineering were more deeply connected than we understand. What remains clear is that Angkor was not just a temple complex. It was a living urban machine, and the jungle kept its outline secret. Petra survived as a secret crossroads carved into stone. In Jordan's desert canyons, the Nabateans built a city that controlled trade routes while hiding its power behind narrow approaches and carved facades. The famous treasury gets the attention, but the wider site tells a richer story. Water channels, cisterns, tombs, temples, and high places show a people who understood survival in a harsh landscape with remarkable skill. Petra's mystery comes from the blend of practicality and symbolism. Its builders captured sudden rainfall, stored it carefully, and turned scarcity into strength. At the same time, some monuments may reflect celestial alignments or sacred timing. That mix invites bold interpretations. Was Petra mainly a trade capital, a religious center, or a carefully staged landscape of power? The answer may be all of these, but its silence keeps the balance uncertain. It looks like a city carved from rock, yet it functioned like a hidden engine of commerce. Mohenjo-Daro had plumbing that feels strangely ahead of its time. In the Indus world, this city used brick drains, covered channels, wells, and carefully planned bathing spaces with a level of organization that still surprises people. The streets appear orderly. Houses often had access to water. Waste moved through systems that suggest civic planning rather than random growth. That is remarkable, because the city flourished thousands of years ago, before many famous empires people learn about first. The Great Bath adds another layer of mystery. It may have served ritual purposes, but no one can read the Indus script, so the builders cannot explain it themselves. There are no translated royal boasts, no clear king lists, and no easy story of conquest. Some people wonder whether this civilization organized itself differently from the command structures seen elsewhere. The plumbing is not just a technical detail. It hints at a society where cleanliness, order, and public design may have mattered deeply. Teotihuacan was abandoned before anyone recorded who truly built it. Near modern Mexico City, a vast ancient metropolis grew around the Pyramid of the Sun, the Pyramid of the Moon, and a long central avenue. Later, people stood among its ruins and treated it with awe, but they did not leave us a simple account of its founders. Even the name most people use came after the city's height. That makes it especially strange. Teotihuacan was enormous, influential, and carefully planned, yet its original identity remains partly veiled. Murals show gods, animals, rituals, and symbols, but they do not translate into a straightforward history. Evidence of apartment compounds suggests a complex urban population with different communities living inside one powerful center. Some people focus on astronomy and sacred geometry. Others see political control expressed through architecture. The city's greatest trick is that it dominated a region, shaped later imagination, and still refuses to introduce itself. Caral may rewrite the beginning of civilization in the Americas. On Peru's coast, this ancient city pushes complex urban life in the Americas into a surprisingly early period. Its pyramids, plazas, sunken courts, and ceremonial spaces appeared long before the Inca and even before many famous cultures from the region. What makes Caral so fascinating is what seems to be missing. There is little evidence for warfare at the site, and the society may have developed power through ritual, trade, music, and organized labor, rather than obvious armies. Kripu-like recording devices, musical instruments, and monumental construction suggest a world more sophisticated than older timelines allowed. Some researchers connect its architecture to the river, the sky, and seasonal cycles. Others focus on economic links between farming communities and coastal fishing settlements. Either way, Caral forces a major question. Did civilization in the Americas begin not with kings and conquest, but with ceremony, coordination, and shared belief? Çatalhöyük had no streets yet somehow functioned as a city. In central Anatolia, people lived in tightly packed houses entered through the roof. Movement happened across rooftops rather than along normal roads, which makes the settlement feel almost like a different idea of urban life. Inside the homes, archaeologists found plastered walls, platforms, ovens, storage spaces, burials beneath floors, and striking images that still invite debate. Was this a town? A giant village? Or an early city before cities had settled into familiar form? The answer depends on how we define urban life. There were no obvious palaces, no grand streets, and no clear ruler standing above everyone. Yet thousands of people shared a dense built environment for generations. Some people see a more equal society. Others think power may have existed in forms that do not leave monuments. Satauheyuk is unsettling because it suggests civilization did not have one starting shape. It may have experimented first. Skara. Brae waited under sand for thousands of quiet years. On Orkney, a storm exposed stone houses that had been sealed beneath dunes for an immense span of time. The settlement was older than many famous monuments, yet its domestic details felt immediately human. Beds, hearths, cupboards, passageways, and storage spaces survived with a clarity that makes the place feel almost recently left. The people who lived there built for warmth, community, and endurance in a difficult northern environment. Their furniture was stone because wood was scarce, which accidentally helped preserve the shape of daily life. The mystery is why the village was abandoned and what its people believed about the surrounding ceremonial landscape. Nearby monuments suggest a world of ritual importance, but Skara Brae itself speaks through homes rather than temples. Some people wonder whether Orkney was once a major sacred center. The settlement does not shout for attention. It quietly proves that deep prehistory could be organized, skilled, and intimate. Thonis Heraklion sank beneath Egypt's coast and disappeared from memory. For centuries, this port city survived mainly in ancient texts, where Greek and Egyptian worlds seemed to overlap at the mouth of the Nile. Then, underwater archaeology found colossal statues, temple remains, inscriptions, anchors, ritual objects, and shipwrecks beneath the waters of Abukir Bay. The discovery changed the feeling of the story at once. A city that sounded half literary became a submerged landscape with streets of evidence scattered across the seabed. Its location made it powerful because goods, travelers, taxes, and ceremonies passed to its harbor before Alexandria rose to dominance. The sinking was likely gradual, tied to unstable ground and coastal change, but the result feels almost mythical. Some people are drawn to the idea that seas hide entire chapters of history near places we think we know well. Thonis Heraklion reminds us that even Egypt, one of the most studied ancient worlds, still has lost cities offshore. Tikal's collapse still puzzles researchers after decades of excavation. In Guatemala's rainforest, huge temples rise above the trees where a major Maya city once held power for centuries. Tikal had dynastic rulers, written inscriptions, reservoirs, causeways, plazas, and a political story full of rivalry and recovery. Yet its decline remains difficult to reduce to one cause. Drought, warfare, shifting trade, environmental strain, and internal pressure have all been discussed. The city did not simply vanish in a single night. Its power weakened, its monuments stopped speaking, and the forest slowly reclaimed what people left behind. That slower ending can be even more haunting than sudden destruction. It suggests a society under stress, making choices we can only partly reconstruct. Some people look for warnings about climate and leadership. Others wonder whether spiritual confidence failed when rulers could no longer guarantee order. Tikal remains gripping because its ruins are enormous, but the final explanation still slips away. Göbekli. Teep suggests organized building began earlier than expected. In southeastern Turkey, carved stone pillars stand at a site that predates farming villages as many people once imagined them. The animals on the pillars, the circular enclosures, and the scale of construction forced a major rethink. Instead of simple hunters slowly becoming farmers and then building temples, this place hints that shared ritual may have helped bring communities together first. That idea is powerful because it reverses the usual order. Belief, gathering, and ceremony may have helped create the conditions for settled life. The mystery grows because the site was later deliberately buried, which protected it, but also raises questions. Why cover such a place with so much effort? Was it closure, renewal, protection, or something we have no word for now? Some people connect it to lost knowledge after a forgotten crisis. More cautious voices still agree on one point. The timeline of human ambition became much deeper. Cahokia rose near the Mississippi and then emptied without clear answers. Near present-day St. Louis, huge earthen mounds mark the remains of a city that once drew people, goods, and influence across a wide region. Its central mound is larger than many imagine an ancient North American monument could be. And that surprise is part of the mystery. This was not a scattered village. It was a planned ceremonial and political center, with plazas, neighborhoods, timber circles, and signs of powerful leadership. Yet by the time Europeans arrived in the area, the great city was already long abandoned. The causes remain debated. Environmental stress, flooding, conflict, disease, political breakdown, and changing beliefs have all been suggested. Some people wonder whether its rise depended on a spiritual authority that eventually lost its force. Others focus on practical pressure from supporting so many residents. Cahokia unsettles easy history because it proves a major city existed where many were taught to imagine only wilderness. Mesa Verde's cliff cities were left behind for reasons still debated. In the American Southwest, stone dwellings were tucked beneath vast sandstone overhangs, creating some of the most dramatic ancient settlements on the continent. The ancestral Pueblo people built rooms, towers, storage areas, and kivas in places that seem difficult to reach even today. That setting has always invited speculation. Were the cliffs chosen for defense, shelter, ceremony, or some combination that modern categories cannot fully capture? By the late 13th century, many communities moved away from the region. Drought is often part of the explanation, but it does not answer everything. Social tension, crop failure, migration networks, and changing religious life may all have played a role. What makes the mystery so compelling is that the people did not vanish. Their descendants continue in other Pueblo communities. The abandoned walls are not evidence of disappearance. They are evidence of a major decision whose full emotional weight remains hidden. Ani became a city of churches, and then a city of silence. On a windswept plateau near the modern border of Turkey and Armenia, the ruins of a medieval capital still carry the shape of former greatness. At its height, Ani was famous for its churches, walls, trade, and royal power. Travelers once described it as a place of immense beauty and sacred architecture. Then invasions, earthquakes, shifting routes, and political change slowly broke its hold on the region. What remains today is strangely powerful because the skyline is filled with monuments, but the streets no longer hold the crowds that gave them meaning. Some people see Ani as a warning about cities built on unstable frontiers. Others feel that its survival as a ruin has made it into something almost beyond politics, although its heritage is deeply contested. The mystery is not only how a capital declined, it is how a place can lose its people and still keep its voice. Hattusa guarded secrets of an empire almost erased from history. In central Anatolia, massive gates, stone walls, archives, and sacred spaces reveal the capital of the Hittites. a power once strong enough to challenge Egypt. For a long time, the Hittites were shadowy figures, known mainly through scattered references. Then tablets and ruins brought their world sharply into view. Hattusa had temples, fortifications, royal records, and a political reach that stretched across difficult terrain. The discovery of treaties and correspondence showed that this was not a minor kingdom hiding in the mountains. It was a major empire with diplomacy, law, military ambition, and complex religion. Yet its fall came during a wider age of upheaval, when several Eastern Mediterranean powers weakened or collapsed. Some people suspect famine, invasion, internal unrest, or climate stress. Others imagine that lost alliances and forgotten enemies played larger roles. Hattusa fascinates because it was nearly erased, then returned with a voice written in clay. Catalysts of collapse appear differently in every abandoned ancient city. It is tempting to search for one explanation whenever a great place falls, but lost cities rarely offer that kind of simplicity. A drought might weaken food supplies, yet a drought alone does not always empty a capital. War can break confidence, but war often follows pressure that has been growing for generations. Trade routes can shift, rulers can lose authority, and sacred promises can stop feeling believable. The most interesting collapses happen when several stresses meet at once, and the old system cannot absorb them. This is why abandoned cities feel so alive to modern imagination. They force us to ask what people noticed before the end. Did they see warning signs in harvests, markets, ceremonies, or building projects? Some people believe ancient elites hid danger until it was too late. Others think ordinary families simply chose safer futures elsewhere. A city's ending is often less like a fall and more like a slow unraveling. Some lost cities may be hiding under modern neighborhoods today. Many vanished settlements did not disappear into deserts or jungles. They were built over by later towns, buried under roads, foundations, markets, and ordinary homes. That makes them harder to find than a ruin in the open landscape, because excavation may require disturbing living communities. In places with thousands of years of occupation, one city can sit on top of another like pages in a closed book. A basement wall might contain ancient stone. A subway tunnel might cross an old cemetery. Construction workers sometimes uncover mosaics, coins, wells, or entire street levels by accident. This creates a strange possibility. People may be buying groceries, walking dogs, or waiting for buses above a vanished city without knowing it. Some people imagine whole royal districts still trapped beneath modern districts. The mystery is not always far away. Sometimes the lost world is directly under the place where daily life continues. Satellite scans are revealing lost settlements beneath ordinary landscapes. From high above the Earth, patterns appear that are almost invisible at ground level. A faint rectangle in a field can mark a buried building. A crop line can trace an old war. Soil color, moisture, and vegetation growth can reveal human planning long after stone has vanished. This has changed the search for lost cities because explorers no longer have to rely only on legends or chance discoveries. They can look for geometry, repetition, and unnatural shapes across huge areas. The thrilling part is that many finds do not look dramatic at first. They look like slight differences in land that most walkers would ignore. Yet those differences can lead to roads, enclosures, temples, or forgotten suburbs. Some people believe this technology will overturn many comfortable assumptions about where ancient populations lived. The sky has become a new kind of archaeological witness, and it is finding traces that history failed to keep. LEEDAR has exposed jungle cities that explorers walked right past. Laser mapping can strip away the visual confusion of dense vegetation and reveal the ground beneath. That ability has transformed rainforest archaeology, because a person on foot might stand beside a mound and see only trees. From the scan, however, the same place can appear as a platform, terrace, causeway, reservoir, or hidden neighborhood. This is why recent discoveries in tropical regions feel so dramatic. They suggest that earlier explorers were not always wrong because they lacked courage. They were limited by what the forest allowed them to see. Some people now wonder how many famous empty landscapes were never empty at all. There may be networks of settlement waiting inside terrain that looked untouched from the trail. LIDAR does not solve every mystery, because scanned shapes still need careful interpretation. But it changes the scale of the search. The lost city is no longer only a place. It can be a pattern. Ancient roads often point toward cities nobody has excavated yet. A road is more than a route. It is a clue about intention. People do not build lasting paths across difficult ground unless something important lies at one end. In many ancient landscapes, old roads outlive the settlements they once served. Their surfaces may erode, but their lines remain in ridges, causeways, sunken tracks, or unusual clearings. When a road seems to vanish into forest, desert, or farmland, it raises a simple and powerful question. Where was everyone going? Sometimes the answer is a market, a shrine, a harbor, or a capital not yet found. The mystery deepens when several routes converge on a blank area of the map. Some people believe forgotten road systems may reveal political worlds larger than the ruins already known. Others see them as pilgrimage trails linked to sacred places. Either way, a road can act like an arrow from the past, pointing toward an unfinished discovery. Forgotten canals can reveal where vanished populations once gathered. Water channels are among the quietest clues a city can leave behind. A wall may collapse and a palace may vanish, but a canal can still shape the land for centuries. It might appear as a shallow line, a strange ditch, or a pattern of greener growth across dry ground. Ancient communities dug canals to feed crops, control floods, move goods, or support dense populations. That means a lost canal system can hint at settlement even before buildings are found. The most fascinating cases show planning on a scale that does not match the small communities once assumed to live there. Some people argue that canals may preserve the fingerprints of forgotten engineers whose names never entered written history. Others wonder whether sacred ideas about water guided their design. A canal is practical, but it can also reveal power. Whoever controlled the flow controlled survival, and possibly the city itself. Hidden reservoirs show that lost cities were often carefully planned. A large water store is not built by accident. It requires knowledge of seasons, rainfall, labor, and long-term need. In many abandoned cities, reservoirs reveal that ancient planners were thinking far beyond the next harvest. They captured water for dry months, protected it from waste, and connected it to daily life through channels or terraces. This changes the way we imagine lost places. They were not always reckless societies waiting for collapse. Many were highly organized communities trying to master difficult environments. The mystery begins when those systems fail or are abandoned. Was the climate changing faster than the design could handle? Did rulers demand projects too ambitious to maintain? Did religious meaning attach to stored water in ways we barely recognize? Some people think reservoirs could even mark sacred centers before formal temples are found. A hidden basin may look simple at first, but it can expose the intelligence of an entire urban system. Desert sands may preserve streets better than written history does. In dry landscapes, abandoned settlements can be covered and protected rather than completely destroyed. Sand can be an enemy to memory, but it can also become a seal. Walls, floors, tools, food remains, and paths may survive with startling clarity once excavation begins. This is why desert lost cities are so compelling. The surface may look empty, while underneath there could be a map of daily life waiting almost intact. Written records often focus on kings and battles, but streets show how ordinary people moved through their world. A doorway, a workshop, or a courtyard can reveal habits that no royal inscription bothered to mention. Some people believe deserts may hold entire trading towns linked to routes that later shifted or vanished. Others search for places remembered only by caravan stories. In the right conditions, sand does not erase a city. It hides it until someone asks the right question. Flood myths sometimes match places where cities truly disappeared. Many cultures preserve stories of water rising, land sinking, or communities punished by an overwhelming flood. It is easy to treat these tales as symbolic, and many probably are. Yet some may also carry memories of real events. Coastal change, river floods, tsunamis, and storm surges can destroy settlements quickly enough to leave a deep mark on tradition. Over generations, a local disaster can become a sacred warning or a story about a whole world remade. The fascinating part is when archaeology finds drowned landscapes near regions with old flood narratives. That does not prove every legend literally true, but it does make the relationship between memory and catastrophe much harder to dismiss. Some people believe myths are archives written in metaphor. Others think they preserve only emotional truth. Lost cities give those debates weight because beneath the story there may be stones, tools, and streets that once stood above water. Earthquakes may have erased famous cities without leaving clear ruins. A powerful quake can change a city in moments, but the evidence it leaves is not always easy to read. Walls fall, fires start, harbors shift, and people move away rather than rebuild. Later generations may reuse the stones, bury the damage, or build new streets over broken ones. That means an earthquake can create a lost city without leaving a dramatic signature for modern eyes. Ancient writers sometimes described sudden destruction in language that sounds exaggerated, but geological evidence has made some accounts more believable. The ground itself can become a witness through tilted layers, crushed floors, or changes in water sources. Some people wonder whether certain legends of divine punishment began as memories of seismic disaster. Others focus on how rulers used rebuilding after quakes to display power. The mystery is especially sharp when a city disappears from record soon after a known shock. Did the earth end it, or only expose weakness already there? Volcanic ash can turn destruction into an archaeological time capsule. When an eruption covers a settlement, the result can be devastating for the people who lived there, but extraordinary for history. Ash can seal rooms, tools, meals, paintings, and footprints in place. It can preserve the ordinary details that slow decay would normally destroy. This kind of evidence feels intimate because it shows interrupted life rather than distant ruins. A cup left on a surface can matter as much as a palace wall. Yet volcanic sites also raise difficult questions about warming signs. Did residents understand the mountain's danger? Did older stories remember previous eruptions? Did leaders reassure people when they should have acted? Some people believe volcanic destruction may sit behind myths of cursed cities and angry gods. Others see a natural process later given religious meaning. Either way, ash changes time. It closes around a place, holds it still, and allows modern eyes to enter a day that never properly ended. Rising seas may have drowned settlements older than known civilization. At the end of the last ice age, shorelines changed across the world as water levels climbed. That means many early coastal communities may now sit underwater, far from the beaches they once knew. This possibility is enormous, because coasts are among the best places for people to gather, fish, trade, and experiment with settlement. If some early centers developed near ancient shores, their traces could be difficult to reach and harder to study. Underwater archaeology has already found submerged landscapes, tools, and structures in several regions. Some people take this further and imagine sophisticated cultures lost before written history began. More cautious voices still agree that the missing coastline matters. We may be judging the beginning of civilization from surviving inland evidence, while a major part of the story lies offshore. The sea is not just hiding shipwrecks. It may be hiding chapters from humanity's earliest experiments with settled life. Some ruins look too advanced for their accepted timeline. Every so often, a site appears that seems to push against the story people expected. The stones are too precise, the planning too large, the date too early, or the knowledge too organized for a simple explanation. That feeling can be misleading, because modern people often underestimate ancient skill. Still, the reaction is worth exploring. Why do certain ruins create the sense that something is missing from the official account? Sometimes the answer is lost tools, vanished techniques, or social organization we have not fully reconstructed. Sometimes it is because the builders left no text explaining their methods. And sometimes the site genuinely forces a revision of the timeline. Some people leap toward forgotten civilizations or outside teachers. Others point to patience, labor, and inherited craft. The most interesting position may sit between certainty and wonder. Advanced ruins remind us that ancient people were not primitive placeholders before history. They were experimenters with knowledge we may never fully recover. Local legends often keep memories of buried cities alive. Long before excavation begins, people living near a place may tell stories about what lies under a hill, a lake, a field, or a stretch of forest. Outsiders sometimes dismiss those traditions as folklore, but they can preserve names, warnings, locations, and fragments of history. A tale about a cursed mound might mark a real burial area. A story of bells beneath water might point toward a drowned church or settlement. A taboo against digging in one place could protect ruins for generations. The challenge is that memory changes shape over time. Facts become symbols, and symbols become stories told by grandparents at night. Some people believe this makes folklore unreliable. Others believe it is exactly how deep memory survives when written records fail. Lost cities often begin their return not with a shovel, but with a rumor. The old story may not be literal, yet it can still know where to look. Treasure hunters sometimes find clues before scholars confirm the location. Not every discovery begins in a university archive. Sometimes a farmer, diver, metal detectorist, or adventurer notices something unusual first. A coin turns up in the wrong field. A carved block appears in a wall. A fisherman pulls up pottery from a place where no town is supposed to be. Treasure hunting can damage sites when done carelessly, and that risk is serious. Yet the history of lost cities includes moments when unofficial searchers brought attention to clues that later proved important. This creates an uneasy tension. Curiosity can open a door, but greed can destroy what lies behind it. Some people imagine hidden chambers and royal hoards waiting beneath ruins. Archaeology usually finds a slower kind of treasure, made of context and careful evidence. The best mysteries happen when a dramatic find leads to disciplined investigation. A single object can be the spark, but the real prize is the forgotten world around it. Ancient maps may preserve cities that modern maps forgot. Old maps do not always show the world accurately, but they can still hold valuable memory. A misplaced town, a strange island, or a vanished harbor might reflect information passed through sailors, traders, soldiers, or storytellers. Cartographers sometimes copied earlier sources, which means a lost city could survive on paper long after people stopped visiting it. The problem is interpretation. Was the mapmaker recording a real place, repeating a rumor, or filling empty space with inherited tradition? That uncertainty makes ancient maps irresistible. Some people study coastlines for clues to sunken ports. Others compare names across languages and centuries, hoping a distorted label points to a real ruin. Even errors can be revealing because they show how people imagined geography before modern surveying. A map is not proof by itself. But when a forgotten name matches a road, a river bend, or a buried mound, the past begins to feel less lost. Manuscript 5. 12 inspired generations to search Brazil's interior. In the 18th century, a mysterious Portuguese document described explorers finding the ruins of an unknown city deep in Brazil. It mentioned stone arches, inscriptions, a statue, and signs of a grand settlement hidden far from the coast. The account became famous because it seemed to promise something almost impossible. A classical-looking lost city in the South American interior would have challenged accepted ideas about the continent's past. Many doubted the story, and the document itself is full of puzzles. Was it a report, a misunderstanding, an exaggeration, or a deliberate lure? That uncertainty only made it more powerful. Searchers returned to it again and again, looking for matching landscapes and forgotten trails. Some people connect it with broader ideas about lost Atlantic cultures or ancient visitors. Others see a colonial fantasy projected onto unfamiliar land. Either way, the manuscript turned a few pages of text into one of the great treasure maps of imagination. Percy Fawcett vanished while seeking a hidden Amazonian city. The British explorer believed the rainforest concealed a sophisticated ancient center he called Z. He was not simply chasing gold. He was convinced that South America's interior had once supported complex societies overlooked by mainstream opinion. In the 1920s, he entered the region with his son and his son's friend, then disappeared. That ending turned his search into legend. For decades, expeditions tried to learn what happened, and many theories grew around the mystery. Some imagined hostile encounters. Others suggested illness, starvation, voluntary disappearance, or a fate known only to local communities. What makes the story more interesting today is that discoveries of large ancient settlements in the Amazon have made Fawcett's basic instinct feel less absurd than it once seemed. He may not have found Z, and his methods reflected his time. Still, his obsession anticipated a larger question. What if the forest was hiding history in plain sight? Kuhikugu suggests the Amazon held urban networks, not wilderness. In Brazil's Upper Xingu region, archaeology has revealed traces of pre-Columbian settlements linked by roads, ditches, plazas, and managed land. The pattern is not a single stone metropolis like people might expect from old adventure stories. It is something different, and maybe more surprising. It suggests a networked urban landscape shaped around villages, ceremonial spaces, and engineered environments. That matters because it challenges the outdated idea that the rainforest could only support small, scattered groups. The people here seem to have organized land use in a way suited to the ecosystem, rather than against it. Some people believe this is a glimpse of a lost Amazonian model of civilization. It may have been less about towering monuments and more about living infrastructure spread across the landscape. The mystery is how far these networks extended before disease and colonial disruption broke them apart. A city does not always need walls to be real. El Dorado may have begun as a ritual before becoming a city. The famous legend often makes people imagine a golden metropolis hidden somewhere beyond the known map. Yet one likely root of the story involves a ruler connected to a ceremony at a sacred lake, where gold was offered as part of political and religious power. European hunger for treasure transformed that ritual into a moving target. The Golden Man became a golden place. The place became an empire. The empire became a dream that dragged expeditions across mountains, rivers, and forests. This evolution is what makes the mystery so fascinating. It shows how a real cultural practice may have been misunderstood, exaggerated, and weaponized by desire. Some people still wonder whether the legend absorbed memories of wealthy cities not yet identified. Others think the chase itself created the illusion. El Dorado may be less a lost city than a lost translation. But that does not make it smaller. It makes it stranger. Perdida remains one of the Andes' most tempting lost kingdoms. Somewhere between Inca history, colonial rumor, and rainforest legend sits the idea of a hidden refuge filled with royal memory. Stories describe a place where people carried wealth, sacred objects, or political knowledge away from conquest and into remote terrain. The details shift depending on who tells the tale, but the pull remains strong. Searchers have looked through cloud forest, mountain passes, and lowland jungle, hoping for ruins that would prove the legend true. Part of the fascination comes from the real Inca ability to build in difficult places. If they could shape mountainsides and control distant valleys, then a hidden stronghold does not feel impossible. Some people imagine Perdida as a surviving city. Others see it as a symbolic name for several refuges and escape routes. The mystery endures because the Andes are vast, the jungle is protective, and history leaves room for one more secret beyond the last known road. Vilcabamba was the final refuge of the Inca resistance. After the Spanish conquest shattered the center of Inca power, rulers and loyal followers withdrew into a remote region where they continued resisting for decades. This was not a mythic escape into nowhere. It was a real political survival zone, hidden by terrain and distance. From there, the last Inca leadership tried to preserve authority, negotiate when useful, and fight when necessary. The story gives lost cities a different emotional weight. A ruin is not always an ancient puzzle from a vanished age. Sometimes it is the last address of a defeated world still refusing to disappear. The search for Vilcabamba also became confused because early explorers misidentified other sites as the final refuge. That mistake added mystery to an already dramatic chapter. Some people see the region as a landscape of buried royal secrets. Others focus on resistance, memory, and endurance. Either way, it marks a place where history did not end quietly. Choqquequirao still hides much of its story beneath vegetation. Often compared to a more remote sibling of Machu Picchu, this Inca site spreads across steep Andean slopes with terraces, plazas, stairways, and ceremonial sectors. Much of it has not been fully cleared, which gives the place a feeling of being only partly awake. Visitors who make the demanding journey see enough to understand its importance, but not enough to settle its purpose. Was it an administrative center, a sacred site, a royal estate, or a strategic refuge connected to later resistance? The location suggests control of movement through rugged terrain, but its architecture hints at more than military function. Some people are drawn to its llama figures worked into terraces, which seem to turn agricultural walls into symbolic statements. Others wonder what hidden sectors will reveal when excavation advances. Choqquequirao is compelling because it is not lost in the old sense. It is known, yet still withholding most of itself. Grand Pagetane challenges explorers with remote ruins and fragile access. In the cloud forests of Peru, circular stone structures decorated with mosaic patterns sit in a landscape that is difficult to reach and difficult to protect. The site is associated with the Chachapoya world, often called the people of the clouds. That name alone has encouraged plenty of romantic speculation, But the real mystery is grounded in isolation, ecology, and cultural complexity. Dense vegetation can damage ruins even as it hides them from looting. Heavy visitation could harm what makes the place valuable. This means the city remains famous and inaccessible at the same time. Some people wonder whether many related sites lie nearby, forming a larger network not yet fully understood. Others are fascinated by the artistic patterns on the buildings, which suggest identity and belief expressed in stone. Grand Pahatame feels like a locked chapter. We know enough to be amazed, but not enough to read the whole page. Quelap raises questions about a powerful cloud forest civilization. High in northern Peru, massive walls enclose the remains of a mountaintop settlement associated with the Chachapoya culture. The scale is striking. Hundreds of circular buildings once stood inside, along with ceremonial spaces and defensive-looking entrances. For years, it was easy for outsiders to reduce the site to a fortress, but that may be too simple. A place this large and elevated could express status, protection, ritual meaning, and community identity all at once. The Chachapoya lived in a region of steep terrain and misty forests, and their relationship with the Inca was complex. Some communities resisted. Others were drawn into imperial control. Quelap's later abandonment leaves questions about conquest, relocation, disease, and changing power. Some people believe its walls suggest a society constantly guarding secrets. Others see a sacred center designed to dominate the horizon. What makes it unforgettable is the sense of a whole highland world, still underexplained. Tiahuanaco's precision keeps fueling bold theories about forgotten knowledge. Near Lake Titicaca, monumental gateways, stone platforms, carved figures, and carefully fitted blocks point to a major ceremonial center with influence across the Andes. The altitude alone makes the achievement impressive, because building and farming there required deep understanding of climate, labor, and landscape. The site has attracted extreme claims for generations. Some people have argued for lost continents, ancient astronauts, or an age far older than accepted scholarship allows. More cautious interpretations connected to a powerful pre-Inca culture with sophisticated agriculture, ritual authority, and regional networks. The appeal of the bolder ideas comes from the stonework and the feeling that something important is missing. How were the designs planned? What did the symbols mean? Why did the center decline? Tiahuanaco remains compelling because it sits between evidence and imagination. It does not need impossible explanations to be astonishing, but it keeps inviting them anyway. Puma Punku inspires arguments about ancient tools and impossible stonework. At this Bolivian site, shaped blocks include precise angles, grooves, and repeating forms that have made it a favorite in alternative history. People look at the stone and ask how ancient builders achieved such clean results without modern machinery. That question can be exaggerated, but it is not foolish to feel surprise. The builders were working within a tradition connected to Tiahuanaco, and their craftsmanship shows planning, skill, and command of difficult materials. Some blocks were transported from significant distances, which adds another layer to the challenge. Mainstream explanations point to stone tools, abrasives, labor organization, and patient technique. Fringe theories imagine advanced lost technology or knowledge inherited from a vanished civilization. The real fascination is that both reactions begin with awe. Puma Punku forces the viewer to slow down and look carefully at ancient ability. Whether one sees craft or mystery first, the stones refuse to feel ordinary. Puma Punku inspires arguments about ancient tools and impossible stonework. The stones at this Bolivian site have become famous because they look almost machined at first glance. Blocks show clean corners, repeated forms, narrow channels, and cut shapes that seem to invite a second look. The mainstream explanation points to skilled craft, patient labor, stone tools, abrasives, and a sophisticated building tradition connected to the wider Tiahuanaco world. Yet the emotional reaction is easy to understand. When people see the precision, they wonder whether something has been left out of the story. Some people imagine forgotten technology. Others suggest knowledge passed down from an earlier civilization that vanished before writing could preserve it. The site's broken state adds to the puzzle, because it feels as if a grand design was interrupted or dismantled. Whether the answer is human skill or something more unusual, Puma Puntu keeps asking the same quiet question. How much did ancient builders really know? Rapa Nui once held villages that vanished behind its statues. Most people first think of the great stone figures, but the island also held communities, gardens, platforms, paths, and a social world far more complex than the statues alone suggest. The Moai were not random monuments. They were connected to ancestry, authority, and the structure of village life. Over time, environmental pressure, political tension, outside contact, disease, and forced removal changed that world profoundly. What remains can make the island look like a place of lonely giants, but that image hides the people who built, moved, honored, and eventually stopped raising them. Some people see the island as a warning about collapse. Others argue that older stories of sudden self-destruction are too simple and ignore resilience. The real mystery is how a small and remote society organized such enormous projects. Rapa Nui still feels impossible because its monuments are visible, while much of the living world around them has slipped from view. Lemuria became a lost continent in alternative history traditions. The idea began as a scientific proposal to explain animal distribution before plate tectonics changed the conversation. Later, it moved into occult writing, spiritual speculation, and stories about vanished peoples who once lived where the Indian Ocean now spreads. That strange journey is part of what makes Lemuria fascinating. It shows how a rejected scientific idea can become a powerful mythic landscape. Some people imagine it as an ancient mother civilization connected to lost wisdom. Others treat it as a symbol of how much has been erased by deep time and rising seas. There is no accepted evidence for a sunken continent filled with cities, but the idea survives because it speaks to a larger suspicion. Maybe history is missing its oldest chapters. Maybe the oceans cover more than geology. Lemuria remains a dream of a forgotten world, carried forward by people who feel ordinary timelines are too small. Mu remains a controversial idea with a strangely lasting influence. This supposed lost land was popularized through claims about ancient tablets, vanished Pacific cultures, and a great civilization destroyed in catastrophe. The evidence behind those claims has not held up under serious scrutiny, yet Mu has never fully faded from the imagination. It appears in books, films, fringe theories, and conversations about ancient wisdom hidden beneath the sea. Part of its power comes from geography. The Pacific is so enormous that it almost seems capable of hiding anything. Scattered islands, megalithic ruins, oral traditions, and underwater ridges can feel like fragments of a story waiting to be joined. Some people link Mu to migrations, lost temples, or knowledge older than recognized civilization. Others see it as a modern myth built from wishful connections. Even if Mu is not a real place, the fascination around it is real. It reveals how strongly people want a missing origin point for humanity's forgotten past. Bimini Road keeps attracting theories about a sunken civilization. Beneath shallow water near the Bahamas, a line of large limestone blocks has sparked decades of debate. Many geologists explain it as natural beach rock broken into regular shapes. Yet its appearance has encouraged an entirely different reading. To some visitors, the formation looks like paving, a wall, or a harbour structure left from a drowned settlement. The connection to Atlantis came quickly, partly because the location seemed to match old dreams of a lost Atlantic world. The mystery survives because the human mind is trained to notice pattern, especially underwater where light, movement and distance can make shapes feel intentional. Some people believe Bimini Road is a remnant of ancient engineering. Others argue that nature can create surprisingly orderly forms. Either way, the site remains powerful because it sits in the perfect zone between explanation and possibility. It is close enough to touch, but uncertain enough to wonder about. Doggerland proves that entire human landscapes can disappear underwater. Between Britain and mainland Europe, there was once a broad inhabited land of rivers, marshes, animals, and human camps. Today, much of it lies beneath the North Sea. This is not legend. It is a real reminder that maps can change so completely that a lived world becomes a seabed. Fishermen have pulled up bones, tools, and traces of a vanished environment, offering glimpses of people who moved through a place no one can now walk across. The importance of Doggerland is enormous for lost city thinking. It proves that submerged landscapes are not fantasy by default. They can be historical fact. Some people wonder whether more settled communities existed there before rising waters finally cut the land away. Others imagine memories of such losses surviving as flood stories across generations. Doggerland may not be a city of towers, but it is a lost world, and that makes the oceans feel less empty. Petri preserves an ancient town plan beneath Greek waters. Off the coast of Laconia, the remains of streets, buildings, courtyards, and tombs lie under the sea with a clarity that feels almost unreal. Unlike vague underwater shapes that invite argument, this site shows an organized settlement plan. That matters because it gives us something rare. A drowned town can be studied as a place where people lived, moved, traded, stored goods, and honored the dead. The water did not turn it into myth. It preserved the outline of a community from the Bronze Age world. Some people are fascinated by how ordinary the plan feels despite its age. Others focus on the larger question of how many coastal settlements were lost as shorelines shifted. Petri does not need to be exaggerated to feel astonishing. Its mystery lies in the fact that a human neighborhood can sit below waves for thousands of years, waiting for modern eyes to read its streets again. Brae sank slowly, while its Roman luxury slipped below the sea. This resort town near the Bay of Naples was once famous for wealth, pleasure, political gossip, and villas owned by Rome's powerful elite. Over time, volcanic ground movement caused parts of the coastline to sink. The result is one of the strangest ruins in the Roman world. Mosaics, roads, walls, and statues now rest under clear water, turning luxury into a submerged museum. Unlike a sudden catastrophe, Brae's loss was gradual, which gives it a different mood. The city was not stolen in one night. It slowly surrendered to the shifting earth beneath it. Some people see a perfect symbol in that. A place built for excess now lies below the surface, visited by divers instead of senators. The mystery is also geological. The land around Naples rises and falls in ways ancient builders could not control. Brae reminds us that even the richest city cannot negotiate with the ground forever. Port Royal became a warning about wealth built on unstable ground. In the 17th century, this Jamaican port was known for trade, privateers, taverns, and fast money. Then an earthquake struck in the late 17th century, and part of the town sank into the harbor. The event became famous almost immediately because many people interpreted it as judgment on a place with a wild reputation. That moral reading is part of the mystery, because disasters often become stories about character as much as geology. Underwater remains still preserve parts of the old town, including streets and buildings that dropped below the surface. Unlike many ancient sites, Port Royal belongs to a period with documents, names, and eyewitness accounts, which makes the sinking feel unusually close. Some people are drawn to the idea of treasure beneath the harbour. Others are fascinated by the preserved urban layout. It is a lost city with a lesson attached, whether that lesson is spiritual, social, or simply structural. Atlit Yam shows that submerged settlements can predate many ancient cities. Off the coast of Israel, underwater remains reveal a Neolithic community with stone structures, wells, burials, and evidence of early farming and herding. The site is especially important because it belongs to a time before the great urban civilizations most people know. That makes it feel like a window into the experiments that came before cities became cities. People here were living at the edge of a changing sea, building, gathering food, raising animals, and creating a community that later disappeared beneath the water. Some have suggested a sudden marine event may have played a role in its abandonment. Others focus on slower shoreline change. Either way, the site changes how we think about the deep past. It shows that complex coastal life was already developing far earlier than many expect. Some people wonder how many other early settlements lie offshore, hidden just beyond the reach of ordinary history. Akrotiri offers a peaceful snapshot before a volcanic catastrophe. On the island of Santorini, a Bronze Age settlement was sealed by eruption, preserving buildings, paintings, stairways, storage jars, and traces of an advanced island society. What makes Akrotiri so intriguing is the apparent lack of many human remains at the site. This has led to the idea that residents may have had warning and left before the final destruction. If true, then the city is not only a disaster site. It is also the trace of an evacuation story we cannot hear directly. The wall paintings show ships, landscapes, animals, and daily life with an elegance that feels surprisingly vivid. Some people connect the eruption and its aftermath to later memories of Atlantis. Others keep the interpretation within the Aegean world. Either way, Akrotiri matters because it preserves a culture at the moment before everything changed. The buildings remain, but the people seem to have stepped out of the frame. Minoan palaces hint at a lost island power near Crete. The Bronze Age centers of Crete reveal a world of storerooms, courtyards, frescoes, workshops, and ritual spaces tied to a society that dominated the imagination of the ancient Aegean. The word palace may even be too narrow, because these complexes seem to have served economic, ceremonial, political, and possibly sacred functions at once. Their art shows movement, animals, processions, and symbols that still resist easy explanation. The mystery deepens because the Minoans left writing systems that remain partly unread or only partly understood. Without a full voice from the builders, scholars must read architecture, trade goods, and images like clues at a scene. Some people imagine Crete as the heart of a sea kingdom with knowledge later remembered in myth. Others focus on administration and maritime power. What makes the Minoan world so magnetic is that it feels close to Greece, yet older, stranger, and still not fully translated. Knossos may preserve memories behind the legend of the labyrinth. At this famous Cretan site, winding rooms, corridors, staircases, storage areas, and ceremonial spaces helped inspire comparisons with the maze of myth. Later, Greek stories spoke of a monstrous secret, a royal house, and a hidden structure connected to tribute and fear. Archaeology does not confirm the myth literally, but it does show a complex building that could easily become legendary in memory. Imagine later visitors encountering ruined halls from a civilization they did not fully understand. The place itself may have encouraged stories of confusion, danger, and hidden power. Some people believe the labyrinth was a distorted memory of the palace. Others think it points to ritual spaces, cave traditions, or symbols connected to bulls. The mystery is not whether a creature waited at the center. The mystery is how architecture became myth. Knossos shows how a real lost city can survive inside a story that becomes bigger than history. Troy was once dismissed before archaeology made it unavoidable. For centuries, many treated the city from Homer's epic world as a place of poetry, rather than a location that could be dug from the ground. Then, excavations in northwest Turkey revealed layered settlements at Hisarlik, forcing a major change in the conversation. The discovered city was not a perfect match for every heroic detail, but it proved that a powerful fortified place had stood where the tradition pointed. That is why Troy remains so important for lost cities. It shows that stories can preserve geography even when they transform events into legend. The site contains layer after layer, each one belonging to a different phase of occupation, destruction, rebuilding, and change. Some people still debate which layer best fits the famous war. Others ask whether several conflicts merged into one unforgettable tale. Troy does not prove every myth true. It proves that myth can remember something real through a veil of grandeur. Mycenae's fall helped create a Greek age of shadow. The fortress city with its lion gate, massive walls, royal tombs, and rich grave goods belonged to a warrior world that once dominated parts of mainland Greece. Then the palace system broke apart near the end of the Bronze Age. Writing disappeared in many areas. Trade networks weakened. Populations shifted. Later, Greeks looked back at that earlier time through epic memory, as if the age of heroes had become distant and half-lit. The cause of the collapse is still debated. Earthquakes, invasion, internal revolt, drought, economic strain, and wider regional breakdown have all been considered. The mystery is not just why one city declined. It is why an entire system of palaces failed across the eastern Mediterranean. Some people imagine lost wars behind the legends. Others see cascading failures no ruler could stop. Mycenae fascinates because it stands at the doorway between archaeology and epic, where real ruins become the ancestors of myth. Ubar was called the Atlantis of the Sands by explorers. For generations, stories told of a wealthy desert city connected to frankincense trade and lost somewhere in Arabia. The name became attached to legends of a place swallowed by sand after pride, disaster, or divine judgment. Modern searches used old texts, local knowledge, and satellite imagery to investigate caravan routes and ancient water sources. A site at Shissa in Oman became linked with the legend, although debate continues over whether it was truly a city, a fortress, a trading post, or a collapsed water station. That uncertainty is exactly why Ubar remains so intriguing. It may not match the grand image people imagined, but it points toward real networks that carried valuable incense across harsh terrain. Some people see the legend as a memory of trade wealth lost when routes shifted. Others still dream of a greater city nearby. Ubar proves that a legend can be wrong in detail, but right in direction. Iram remains suspended between scripture, legend, and desert archaeology. The city or tribe associated with lofty pillars appears in Islamic tradition as a warning about arrogance and destruction. For many readers, it has the feeling of a vanished desert wonder, a place once powerful enough to become a moral memory. The challenge is that Iram may refer to a people, a region, a settlement, or a layered tradition shaped over time. That ambiguity has kept it alive in both religious imagination and archaeological curiosity. Some searchers connect it with ancient incense roots in Arabia. Others believe it belongs more to sacred storytelling than to a single ruin waiting to be uncovered. The desert makes both views possible, because it hides traces and magnifies rumor. A collapsed well, buried wall, or abandoned caravan stop can become part of a larger story. Hiram's mystery is not only where it was. It is whether a city can be real, symbolic, and legendary all at once. The Kalahari lost city may have been ruins or geology. In the late 19th century, reports described stone walls and ancient remains in southern Africa's interior. The claim stirred excitement because a forgotten city in the Kalahari would challenge assumptions about settlement, trade, and architecture in the region. Expeditions searched, but the evidence never settled the matter. Some investigators believed natural rock formations had been mistaken for human construction. Others wondered whether a real site had been seen once and then lost again in a vast, difficult landscape. The story became a classic case of the explorer's dilemma. At what point does possibility become illusion? The Kalahari itself adds power to the legend because distance and harsh conditions make a missed discovery feel plausible. Some people still imagine a buried settlement under sand or scrub. More skeptical voices see a lesson in wishful interpretation. The mystery endures because the first report was vivid enough to ignite belief, but never solid enough to close the case. Finis is known from ancient records but still has no confirmed location. This early Egyptian city is tied to the beginning of dynastic history and the rulers who helped shape Egypt into a unified kingdom. Ancient sources treat it as important, yet its exact site remains uncertain. That is a remarkable situation. A place can stand near the foundation of one of the world's most famous civilizations and still evade confident identification. Some link it to the region near Abydos, where royal tombs and sacred activity point toward early power. But Thinis itself has not stepped forward with a clear sign saying, "Here I am." The mystery matters because locating it could sharpen our understanding of Egypt's earliest political geography. Was it a true capital, a regional center, or a remembered homeland of kings? Some people imagine a lost city beneath fields or modern settlement. Others think its traces may be scattered beyond easy recovery. Thinis reminds us that even Egypt still has missing addresses. Akkad ruled an empire, yet its capital remains unfound. The Akkadian Empire changed Mesopotamian history, and its rulers became famous enough to echo through later tradition. Yet the city that gave the empire its name has never been securely located. That absence feels almost unbelievable. We know of kings, conquests, administration, and cultural influence, but the capital itself remains a blank spot on the map. Scholars have proposed locations in Iraq, often somewhere between major river systems, but no discovery has ended the debate. The missing city creates a strange imbalance. Its power can be felt through texts and history, but its streets, temples, and palace have not been brought into view. Some people wonder whether it lies beneath later occupation, hidden by river movement, or buried in a place not yet excavated. Others imagine that finding it would transform the early history of empire. Akkad is a reminder that even the biggest names in ancient history can still be physically lost. It-Jutawi governed Egypt during a golden age, then vanished. This Middle Kingdom capital was established by Egypt's rulers during a period often remembered for strong administration, literature, building projects, and political renewal. It played a central role in governing the country, yet its exact location has not been confirmed. The problem is especially fascinating because the city was not minor or mythical. It was a real seat of power, connected to kings who shaped Egypt's direction for generations. Many place it somewhere near the entrance to the Fayum, based on textual and archaeological clues. Still, the capital itself remains elusive. Some people believe it may be buried beneath deep Nile deposits. Others think later settlement has hidden or destroyed the clearest evidence. Finding Waitijawi could illuminate how Middle Kingdom rulers managed territory, agriculture, and royal authority. Its disappearance feels almost like a trick of history. The bureaucracy was famous for order, but the city that organized it has slipped out of sight. Oshukani was a royal capital that still evades excavation. The Mitanni kingdom once held influence across northern Mesopotamia and Syria, dealing with major powers through diplomacy, marriage, rivalry, and war. Its capital, Oshukani, appears in ancient records, yet no site has been confirmed beyond doubt. That makes it one of the great missing capitals of the Bronze Age Near East. The mystery is made sharper by the kingdom's importance. Mitanni stood between empires and helped shape the political world of its time, but its center remains uncertain. Some proposed locations lying near the Kobo River region, where ancient routes and settlements supported powerful states. The difficulty comes from limited excavation, modern borders, conflict, and the challenge of matching names in texts to ruins in the ground. Some people imagine royal archives still waiting under a mound. Others think the capital may have been found already, but not recognized. Oshukani feels like a locked door in a hallway of known history. Irisagrig appears on ancient tablets, yet its site stays unknown. Thousands of cuneiform tablets mention a Sumerian city called Irisagrig, showing administration, deliveries, officials, and economic life. That would usually help archaeologists place it on the map, but the site itself has not been securely identified. Many tablets connected to the city surfaced through the antiquities market, which creates a serious problem. Without proper excavation context, the information is powerful, but incomplete. The documents prove a living city with institutions and records, yet they do not give us its streets. This is a different kind of lost city mystery. The name is not legendary. The paperwork is real. What is missing is the ground under the paperwork. Some people wonder whether looting has already damaged the site before scholars could study it properly. Others hope that one day a mound in Iraq will produce the matching archive in place. Irisagrig shows how a city can be known through voices, while its body remains hidden. Allure survives through records of exile, not through ruins. The name means something like the town of Judah, and it appears in Babylonian records connected to Judean exiles living in Mesopotamia after the fall of Jerusalem. The tablets reveal contracts, names, families, taxes, and everyday obligations. That makes the place emotionally powerful even without monumental ruins. It was not a lost city of gold or giant walls. It was a settlement where displaced people rebuilt lives under imperial rule. The mystery lies in how much human history can survive in ordinary documents, while the physical site remains uncertain. We can glimpse farmers, witnesses, officials, and families across generations, but we cannot confidently walk the streets where they lived. Some people are drawn to the idea that the settlement may still lie beneath an unexcavated mound. Others focus on the tablets as a rare bridge between biblical memory and daily administration. Yahudu reminds us that a lost place can matter because of the lives it held. Zazura lured desert explorers with stories of a white oasis city. In a Libyan desert tradition, searchers spoke of a hidden oasis with white buildings, treasure, and a sleeping or abandoned atmosphere beyond known routes. The legend attracted explorers in the early 20th century, especially those fascinated by blank spaces on maps. Part of the appeal came from the desert itself. A place could be missed for years if it sat beyond wells, tracks, and reliable directions. Some linked Zerzura to real oasis systems. Others saw it as a mirage of desire, created from half-heard reports and the hope of discovery. The search did lead to important mapping of remote regions, even when the city itself remained elusive. Some people still imagine that the legend preserves memory of an ancient settlement swallowed by sand. Skeptics point out that stories often grow as they travel. Zerzura remains beautiful as a mystery because it is both a place people sought and a question the desert never answered. Shambhala blends spiritual geography with the dream of a hidden kingdom. In Tibetan Buddhist tradition, Shambhala is not simply a lost city in the ordinary sense. It is a hidden realm connected with wisdom, future renewal, and spiritual readiness. That makes it different from ruins waiting under sand or jungle. Its mystery depends on whether hidden means physically concealed, spiritually inaccessible, or both. Western explorers and occult writers later transformed the idea into a search for a secret kingdom somewhere in Central Asia. Some treated it as a real place guarded by mountains. Others understood it as an inner state described through geography. The appeal is easy to see. Shambhala offers the hope that somewhere beyond ordinary politics, there is a preserved center of knowledge. Some people connect it to legends of advanced teachers or ancient guardians. More traditional views place the emphasis on spiritual meaning. The mystery remained powerful because it refuses to sit in one category. It is a map, a promise, and a test. Agartha imagines civilizations beneath the earth rather than beyond the horizon. Most lost city legends send searchers into deserts, jungles, mountains, or oceans. This one turns the direction downward. In esoteric and fringe traditions, Agartha is described as a hidden inner world, sometimes linked to tunnels, secret masters, advanced knowledge, or ancient survivors. There is no accepted evidence for a vast underground civilization, but the idea has remarkable staying power. It appeals to a deep suspicion that the surface world is only the visible layer of reality. Caves, lava tubes, mines, and underground cities make the concept feel just close enough to wonder about. Some people connect Agartha to myths of underworld realms from many cultures. Others treat it as symbolic language for hidden wisdom. Its power lies in the reversal. Instead of searching the horizon for a lost kingdom, the legend asks whether the greatest unknown might be beneath our feet. Even as speculation, it changes how the planet feels. Kuyu connects to other underground spaces across Cappadocia. What makes the region so astonishing is not only one deep city. It is the wider pattern of subterranean life carved into soft volcanic rock. Passageways, storage rooms, shelters, churches, ventilation shafts, and neighboring underground complexes suggest a landscape where going below ground was a practical tradition. Some spaces were likely used at different times for different needs, from food storage to refuge during danger. The possibility of connections between sites has encouraged bold ideas about a hidden network beneath Cappadocia. Not every claimed tunnel can be treated as proven, but the scale of known underground architecture is already extraordinary. Some people imagine whole communities moving unseen below the surface, while armies passed overhead. Others focus on how local geology made such spaces possible. The deeper mystery is cultural. Once a society learns to live underground when necessary, it begins to think differently about safety, secrecy, and home. Cappadocia turned the earth itself into architecture. Kamakli shows how entire communities could live below ground. This underground complex in Cappadocia feels less like a cave and more like a carefully organized survival system. Its levels include rooms for families, areas for storage, places for animals, ventilation routes, and defensive features that could slow or block intruders. The experience changes how people imagine ancient danger. A threatened community did not always flee across open land. Sometimes it moved downward into a prepared world where food, air, and faith had already been considered. The design also raises questions about coordination. Maintaining such a place required planning, shared rules, and trust. Who decided when to enter? How long could people remain? What stories did children hear in those narrow rooms while the outside world became unsafe? Some people speculate that underground cities preserve memories of older catastrophes, perhaps even fears passed down from forgotten eras. Kamakli's real power is simpler and stronger. It shows that survival can become an entire hidden architecture. Nushabad reveals another hidden city designed for protection and survival. In Iran, beneath an ordinary settlement, tunnels and chambers form an underground refuge known locally as Oyi. The spaces were designed so people could escape raids, hide from enemies, and move through concealed routes below the surface. Narrow passages, changes in level, and defensive features suggest a system meant to confuse outsiders and protect insiders. What makes Nushabad fascinating is its closeness to everyday life. The hidden city was not far away in a forbidden wilderness. It was underneath the place people already lived. That creates a powerful image. A normal town could contain a second town below it, ready for danger. Some people wonder how many similar refuges remain unrecognized under older communities across the region. Others focus on the psychology of building safety into the ground itself. Nushabad turns the idea of a lost city inside out. It was not lost because people forgot the landscape. It was hidden because secrecy was the design. Hypogee beneath Malta raise questions about ritual, sound, and memory. Under Malta, carved chambers descend into spaces that feel planned for more than shelter. The Hypogeum of Hala Safliani includes rooms, passages, niches, and carefully shaped surfaces that suggest a deep relationship between architecture and ceremony. One chamber is especially famous because voices can resonate in a way that feels strangely powerful. That has led to theories about ancient sound rituals, altered states, or carefully controlled experiences inside the earth. More cautious explanations focus on burial, community identity, and long-term ritual use. Yet even the cautious view leaves plenty of wonder. Why did people invest so much effort in carving a hidden, sacred space below ground? What did sound mean to them? Did darkness, echo, and descent change how they understood the dead? Malta's underground world feels less like a tomb alone and more like a designed encounter with memory, ancestry, and something deliberately kept below the surface. Malta's cart ruts still point toward unknown ancient movement patterns. Across the Maltese landscape, pairs of grooves cut into limestone run over hills, across open ground, and in some places toward the sea. They are often called cart ruts, but their exact purpose remains debated. Some may have been made by repeated traffic from sledges or wheeled vehicles. Others might relate to quarrying, agriculture, or movement between ancient activity zones. The mystery deepens because the grooves can look strangely organized, yet they do not always behave like simple roads. Some vanish at cliffs or continue into areas now changed by erosion and shoreline movement. That has encouraged speculation about lost harbors, older coastlines, or forgotten industries. Some people believe the ruts preserve evidence of a more complex prehistoric system on Malta than we fully understand. What makes them so compelling is their directness. They are lines of action in stone, but the people who made them left no explanation beside the track. Sardinia's Nurag towers hint at a society with missing explanations. Thousands of stone towers stand across Sardinia, built from large blocks in forms that can look both practical and symbolic. Some are simple. Others are part of complex settlements with courtyards, chambers, wells, and surrounding structures. The Nuragic civilization created them during the Bronze Age, but their full purpose remains unsettled. Were they fortresses, elite residences, ritual centers, watchtowers, clan symbols, or all of these in different places? The island setting adds another layer, because Sardinia sat within a wider Mediterranean world of trade, metals, sailors, and competing powers. Some people wonder whether the towers formed a network for communication or territorial control. Others see sacred meanings in their orientation and placement. The mystery is not that the builders lacked sophistication. It is that they built on a massive scale without leaving a clear written explanation. Sardinia is covered in stone questions, and every tower seems to ask, what kind of society needed so many? The plain of jars may belong to a culture still partly lost. In Laos, great stone jars sit across upland landscapes in groups that feel both deliberate and enigmatic. Some are huge, carved from stone and placed in areas connected to ancient burial practices. Archaeology has revealed human remains and funerary evidence nearby, but the full story of the people who made and used the jars remains incomplete. Their scale suggests organized labor and cultural importance. Their distribution suggests roots, communities, or sacred zones spread across a wide region. Local legends tell of giants, victories, and ancient feasting, which gives the stones a second life in memory. Some people are drawn to the idea that the jars belong to a forgotten civilization, with rituals unlike anything now familiar. Others focus on mortuary tradition and regional identity. The jars do not form a city in the usual sense, yet they point toward a lost cultural landscape. The mystery lies in the silence between the stones. Ban Cheng complicates old timelines for Southeast Asian development. In northeastern Thailand, this archaeological site revealed burials, pottery, bronze objects, and signs of long occupation that challenged older ideas about how quickly complex cultures developed in the Pei region. For many people, Southeast Asia was once treated as a receiver of ideas from elsewhere. Ban Cheng helped change that picture. It showed local innovation, skill, and social depth that deserved attention on its own terms. The dating of its bronze use has been debated, which makes the site even more intriguing. A disagreement about dates may sound technical, but it changes the story of who developed metallurgy, when they did it, and how knowledge moved between communities. Some people see Ban Cheng as evidence that ancient Southeast Asia was far more creative than standard histories admitted. Others are cautious about broad claims. Either way, the site forces a bigger question. How many early centers of invention have been overlooked because they did not fit an old map of civilization? Bagan's thousands of temples stand over a vanished urban world. In Myanmar, an astonishing field of temples, pagodas, and monasteries rises from a landscape that once formed the heart of a powerful kingdom. The monuments are famous, but the city behind them is harder to picture. Bagan was not only a sacred skyline. It was a living capital with neighborhoods, roads, water systems, craft production, royal authority, and religious patronage on a vast scale. Over time, political change, environmental pressure, earthquakes, and shifting power reduced the city's role. What remains can make the past feel almost too monumental, as if stone survived while ordinary life dissolved. Some people wonder whether the density of temples reflects extraordinary devotion, competition among elites, or an attempt to anchor power through sacred construction. Others focus on the relationship between Buddhism and kingship. Bagan's mystery is that its monuments are everywhere, yet the daily city that supported them must be reconstructed from traces between the towers. Morao Gu hides a powerful kingdom inside Myanmar's misty hills. This former capital of the Arakan Kingdom can surprise people who expect lost cities to belong only to the ancient world. Morao Yu flourished in the early modern period, controlling trade, diplomacy, and regional power from a landscape of fortified hills and temple complexes. Its stone monuments combine religious purpose with defensive strength, which gives the city a distinctive character. It was connected to the Bay of Bengal world, where merchants, sailors, ideas, and armies moved through complicated networks. The mystery lies in how a place once so important became comparatively little known outside the region. Some people are fascinated by the way its temples can look like fortresses. Others wonder how much remains buried beneath fields and villages. Mohenjo-Daro reminds us that a lost city does not need to be prehistoric to feel hidden. Sometimes a capital can fall out of global memory while still standing in plain view. Mohenjo-Daro emerged from Cambodian jungle through laser mapping. For a long time, the sacred mountain of Phnom Kulen was known as important in Khmer history, but modern scanning revealed a larger hidden urban pattern than many expected. Beneath the forest, researchers identified grids, ponds, temples, mounds, and engineered features linked to an early Angkorian center. The discovery matters because it shows how a city can survive as shape rather than standing walls. On the ground, vegetation breaks the view into fragments. From laser data, those fragments join into a plan. This raises a thrilling possibility. The Khmer story may still contain buried chapters in landscapes that looked empty or only lightly occupied. Some people wonder whether sacred mountains across the world conceal similar hidden layouts. Others focus on how power and religion were built into terrain. Mohenjo-Daro feels like a city returning as a ghost of geometry, not through legend alone, but through patterns the forest could no longer hide. Angkor briefly became a capital before returning to forest. In Cambodia, this city rose during a dramatic shift in Khmer power when royal authority moved away from Angkor for a short but important period. The site includes temples, reservoirs, roads, inscriptions, and a striking stepped pyramid that gives it a different feeling from more familiar Khmer centers. Its brief life as a capital makes it especially mysterious. Why move the center of power, and why did that moment not last? The answer may involve politics, personal ambition, sacred geography, or the need to establish legitimacy through new construction. Once the royal focus returned elsewhere, the forest slowly claimed much of the site. Some people see Angkor as a bold experiment in kingship. Others imagine it as evidence of rivalry inside the Khmer world. Its ruins carry the tension of a capital that burned brightly, then lost the future it seemed to be building. That makes its silence feel almost unfinished. Ciudad may have been fortress, palace, monastery, or all three. In Sri Lanka, a massive rock rises above gardens, walls, pools, paintings, and traces of occupation that have invited debate for generations. The most famous story links the site with King Katyapa, who built a royal stronghold after seizing power. That version gives Ciudad drama, but it may not explain everything. The rock had religious importance before and after the royal period, and its design includes pleasure gardens, defensive features, symbolic pathways, and elevated spaces that feel carefully staged. Some people see it as a palace built to impress and protect. Others emphasize monastic use and sacred landscape. The truth may involve overlapping identities across time. A place can be political in one century and spiritual in another. Sigiria's mystery comes from that layering. It is not only a rock fortress, it is a designed ascent where power, fear, beauty, and belief all seem to meet above the plain. Mohenjo-Daro's script still blocks the city from speaking clearly. The Indus civilization left behind seals, symbols, and short inscriptions that have resisted confident translation for decades. That silence changes everything. Without readable texts, we cannot easily hear the names of rulers, gods, professions, neighborhoods, or laws. We read the city through drains, bricks, weights, streets, objects, and patterns instead. This creates a strange kind of intimacy and distance at the same time. The physical planning is visible, but the inner meaning remains locked. Some people believe the script may record a language unrelated to later written traditions. Others argue it may not function like a full writing system in the way we expect. The debate matters because a successful decipherment could transform the entire Indus world overnight. It might reveal trade records, religious ideas, personal names, or political structures. Until then, Mohenjo-Daro stands as one of history's greatest mute cities, organized enough to impress us and silent enough to haunt us. Harappa shares a lost writing system with no accepted translation. At this major Indus site in present-day Pakistan, excavations revealed planned streets, craft areas, standardized bricks, weights, seals, and evidence of a civilization built around order and connection. Yet the symbols found on seals and objects remain unread. That creates one of the most frustrating mysteries in archaeology. The people had a shared sign system across a huge region, but modern researchers cannot agree on its language or full purpose. A few marks on a seal may contain a name, a title, a clan sign, a deity, or something else entirely. The brevity of the inscriptions makes decipherment difficult. There is no long bilingual text like the Rosetta Stone to unlock the code. Some people wonder whether the Indus world deliberately avoided royal propaganda. Others suspect that perishable records once held longer messages and simply did not survive. Harappa reminds us that a civilization can be highly connected and still keep its voice sealed. Dolavira reveals water management that seems remarkably sophisticated. On an island in the salt desert of Kutch, this Indus city was built in a demanding environment where water had to be captured, stored, and controlled with precision. Reservoirs, channels, dams, and stone-lined systems show a population that understood scarcity and planned around it with impressive care. The site's layout also includes distinct sectors, gateways, and a famous signboard with large Indus symbols. That combination makes Dolavira feel like one of the clearest windows into Indus urban intelligence. It was not only a place of survival. It was a designed city that turned a harsh setting into an advantage. Some people see its water system as evidence of engineering knowledge ahead of its time. Others focus on social coordination, because projects like these require authority, cooperation, and maintenance. Dolavira's mystery is practical and profound. The city seems to say that civilization can rise not by escaping difficulty, but by mastering it. Lothal may have held one of the world's earliest dockyards. In Gujarat, the rectangular basin at this Indus site has often been interpreted as a dock or tidal facility connected to trade. The idea is exciting because it places the city within a maritime world of boats, goods, merchants, and distant contacts. Some scholars debate whether the structure was truly a dockyard or another kind of water reservoir. That uncertainty does not weaken the fascination. It sharpens it. If it was a dock, Lothal becomes a key clue to early seafaring and organized commerce. If it was not, it still shows careful water engineering and urban planning. Finds such as beads, seals, weights, and craft materials suggest economic life tied to wider exchange. Some people imagine ships leaving from this place toward Mesopotamia or Arabian shores. Others prefer a more cautious picture of regional trade. Lothal's mystery lies in that basin, because one structure can change how oceanic the Indus world appears. Mayogar suggests urban life grew from roots far older than expected. Before the great Indus cities flourished, communities at Mayogar were farming, herding, crafting, burying their dead with care, and experimenting with settled life over a very long period. The site lies in Baluchistan and shows cultural development reaching back into the Neolithic. That matters because cities do not appear from nowhere. They grow from habits, skills, beliefs, and social relationships built across generations. Mehrgarh gives us a deep foundation for later urban complexity in South Asia. There are early signs of agriculture, ornaments, dental work, pottery traditions, and long-distance material connections. Some people are fascinated by the possibility that knowledge from such early communities flowed into later Indus civilization in ways we cannot fully trace. Others see it as a reminder that the true beginning of a city may be invisible if we only look for walls and streets. Mehrgarh changes the question from where civilization began to how slowly it learned to become itself. Susa layered city upon city across thousands of restless years. In southwestern Iran, Susa was occupied for an extraordinary span of time, linking prehistoric communities, Elamite power, Mesopotamian influence, Persian Empire, and later periods in one deep Ratra. Archaeological mound that makes it less like a single lost city and more like a stack of civilizations. Each era reused, rebuilt, covered, and reinterpreted what came before. The challenge is that long survival can blur the past as much as preserve it. A wall from one age cuts through another. A palace stands above older deposits. Objects travel through conquest, trade, or ritual reuse. Some people are drawn to the idea that Susa may hold buried archives or sacred spaces from eras still poorly understood. Others focus on its role as a meeting point between worlds. The mystery of Susa is time itself. Few cities show so clearly how human ambition can keep returning to the same ground, as if the place refused to stop being important. Ur's royal tombs revealed wealth from a world still half understood. When excavators opened elite burials at this Mesopotamian city, they found gold, lapis lazuli, musical instruments, ornaments, weapons, and objects that showed astonishing craftsmanship. The finds made feel suddenly vivid, but they also raised difficult questions. What beliefs surrounded death? How were rulers remembered? What kind of society could gather materials from distant regions and concentrate them in such ceremonial settings? The tombs suggest a city deeply connected to trade, status, religion, and political display. The famous objects are beautiful, yet their meaning is not always clear. Some people see evidence of sacred kingship and elaborate afterlife beliefs. Others focus on the social inequality revealed by such concentrated wealth. Is fascinating because it gives us both brilliance and mystery. The treasures shine, but they do not fully explain the minds that placed them there. A city can leave gold behind and still keep its deepest reasons hidden. Eridu was remembered as a first city in Mesopotamian tradition. In ancient Sumerian belief, this place held special importance as an early seat of kinship and as a sacred center connected to the god Enki. Archaeology shows a long sequence of temples built and rebuilt on the same spot, which gives the site a powerful sense of continuity. Whether it was literally the first city depends on how we define city, but its place in memory was enormous. Later, people looked back to Eridu as a beginning, and that alone makes it fascinating. The layers of temple construction suggest that sacred authority may have anchored settlement over centuries. Some people wonder whether the memory of Eridu preserves a real transition from small communities to urban life. Others see myth shaping history into a sacred order. The mystery is not only where urban life began, it is why ancient people chose certain places as origins and how those choices shaped everything that followed. Satel Heyuk's wall paintings may preserve one of the earliest city views. Inside this dense Anatolian settlement, one famous image has been interpreted by some as a view of clustered houses with an erupting volcano behind them. Others argue that the shapes may mean something entirely different, perhaps a pattern, a skin, or a symbolic design. The debate is fascinating because the interpretation changes the history of seeing. If it is a settlement view, then people were representing their built environment thousands of years ago in a way that feels surprisingly modern. If it is not, then the image still reveals a symbolic world we do not fully understand. The challenge is that the people left no written caption. We have color, shape, placement, and context, but not their explanation. Some people are drawn to the volcano idea because it links art, danger, and landscape memory. Others prefer caution. Either way, the painting reminds us that early communities were not only building spaces, they were thinking about how to represent them. Jericho's ancient towers challenge simple ideas about early settlement. At one of the world's oldest continuously occupied sites, early stone architecture included a massive tower and walls that have puzzled researchers for generations. These features date to a time when many people imagine human communities as small and simple. Yet the construction required coordination, labor, planning, and shared purpose. The usual explanations include defense, flood control, social organization, and ritual meaning. None feels complete on its own. Why would an early community invest so much effort in monumental building before the later rise of familiar states and cities? Some people see the tower as evidence that hierarchy and collective authority emerged earlier than expected. Others imagine astronomical or ceremonial functions tied to the surrounding landscape. Jericho's mystery is powerful because it challenges the neat ladder of progress. Monumental architecture did not wait politely for civilization to become official. It appeared early, in a place where settlement itself was still becoming a new way of life. Jerash was never fully lost, but still feels like a rediscovery. In Jordan, this ancient city preserves colonnaded streets, theaters, temples, plazas, gates, and public spaces that reveal a major Roman and later Byzantine urban center. Unlike cities completely swallowed by forest or sea, Jerash remained known in the region. Yet to many modern visitors, it still feels like a revelation because so much of its classical layout survives. The mystery here is not disappearance. It is continuity, transformation, and partial forgetting. A city can keep living nearby while its ancient identity becomes layered under new names, new needs, and changing populations. Earthquakes, economic shifts, and political changes altered Jerash over time, but they did not erase it. Some people are fascinated by how intact the streets feel, as if public life could resume with only a little imagination. Others focus on what remains unexcavated around the famous ruins. Jerash shows that rediscovery is not always about finding a lost place. Sometimes it is about seeing a known place differently. Palmyra stood at a crossroads where empires and secrets met. In the Syrian desert, this caravan city grew wealthy by connecting trade between the Roman world, Persia, Arabia, and lands farther east. Its streets, temples, tombs, and inscriptions show a culture that blended influences without becoming merely one thing. Palmyra's power came from position, but also from negotiation. Merchants, local elites, imperial officials, and desert communities all shaped its world. The famous Queen Zenobia later turned the city into the center of a bold political challenge against Rome, which added legend to an already extraordinary place. The mystery of Palmyra lies in its mixture. Was it a loyal frontier city, an independent desert power, or something more flexible than either label? Some people are drawn to its funerary towers and family tombs, where memory rose above the sand. Others focus on lost trade knowledge. Palmyra reminds us that crossroads cities often hold secrets because they belong to many worlds at once. The dead cities of Syria preserve hundreds of abandoned settlements. Across northwestern Syria, stone villages and towns from late antiquity stand in clusters across a broad rural landscape. Houses, churches, baths, olive presses, tombs, and streets survive in ways that make the area feel like a whole region paused in time. These were not isolated curiosities. They belong to a prosperous countryside shaped by agriculture, trade, religion, and local wealth. Their abandonment was likely gradual, connected to economic change, shifting routes, environmental pressure, and political disruption. What makes them so compelling is their number. One abandoned town can be explained as an accident. Hundreds suggest a larger transformation. Some people wonder whether the region preserves clues to a forgotten rural boom that once supported far more activity than the modern eye expects. Others focus on the spiritual landscape created by early churches and monasteries. The dead cities show that lost urban life can spread across a countryside, not just gather behind famous walls. Leptis Magna became a buried Roman masterpiece on the African coast. In Libya, this grand city grew from Phoenician roots into one of the most impressive Roman centers in North Africa. Its theater, basilica, market, baths, streets, and monumental arches reveal wealth amplified by imperial favor, especially under Septimius Severus, who was born there. Over time, shifting politics, trade decline, raids, and environmental change reduced its importance. Sand helped cover parts of the city, preserving architecture that might otherwise have been stripped away. The result is astonishing. Leptis Magna can feel like a Roman city set aside from time, with its scale still visible against the coastal landscape. Some people are fascinated by how a place so magnificent became so little known compared with Rome or Pompeii. Others wonder what remains beneath unexcavated zones. Its mystery is not that Rome reached Africa. The mystery is how many people still underestimate the depth, wealth, and complexity of the Roman African world. Timgad shows how a planned Roman city could outlive its empire. Founded in North Africa as a colony for veterans, this city was laid out with a striking grid of streets, public buildings, baths, a library, markets, temples, and a triumphal arch. From above, its plan looks almost modern in its clarity. That is part of what makes Timgad so fascinating. It shows Roman urban thinking not as an abstract idea, but as a lived design imposed on the landscape. Yet the city's later history moved beyond the original plan. Populations changed, Christianity grew, fortifications appeared, and new needs reshaped old spaces. Eventually the site declined and was preserved by isolation and sand. Some people see Timgad as proof of Rome's ability to project order across distance. Others notice how that order could not remain fixed forever. The mystery is how a city designed for control became a ruin that now reveals change. Its streets survived the empire that once gave them meaning. Volubilis carries Roman streets into the edge of Moroccan memory. Near Meknes, this city preserves mosaics, columns, houses, basilica remains, oil presses, and public spaces from Rome's far western reach in North Africa. Yet, Volubilis was not simply a Roman transplant. It stood in a region with deeper local traditions and later became connected to early Islamic history. That layered identity makes the site especially interesting. It was a frontier city, a provincial center, a place of wealth, and eventually a ruin absorbed into a changing Moroccan landscape. The olive oil production visible in its remains shows how economy and environment shaped daily life. The mosaics reveal elite taste and cultural connection. Some people wonder how residents thought of themselves at the edge of empire. Roman, local, African, Mediterranean, or something more blended. Volubilis does not feel lost. because nobody knew it existed. It feels mysterious because it captures a borderland where identities met, shifted, and left their traces in stone. Brae's pyramids point toward a kingdom many people barely know. In Sudan, the ancient kingdom of Kush built royal cemeteries filled with steep pyramids that create one of the most striking landscapes in Africa. Many people know Egypt's pyramids first, which can cause Brae to be unfairly treated as a footnote. Yet Kush was a powerful civilization with its own rulers, art, language, religion, iron production, and political history. At times, Kushite kings even ruled Egypt. The mystery grows because the Meroitic script is only partly understood, which leaves major parts of the kingdom's own voice beyond reach. The pyramids show royal ambition, but they do not explain every belief behind them. Some people are fascinated by the possibility of lost archives or untranslated traditions that could reshape how widely Kush is understood. Others focus on the kingdom's role between Africa, the Nile, and the wider ancient world. Meroe challenges the listener to ask which civilizations became famous and which were left waiting. Axum's stelae hint at royal power with missing chapters. In the highlands of Ethiopia and Eritrea, the Axumite kingdom built towering stone stelae, controlled trade routes, minted coins, and became one of the great powers of the ancient world. Its connections reached across the Red Sea and into wider networks linking Africa, Arabia, and the Mediterranean. Yet many parts of its story remain difficult to reconstruct. The largest stelae seem connected to royal tombs and elite display, but their full meaning is still debated. How were such enormous stones quarried, moved, and raised? What ceremonies surrounded them? What political message did they send to visitors? Some people are drawn to Axum because of traditions connecting the region with the Ark of the Covenant. Others focus on trade, Christianity, and imperial power. Axum's mystery comes from its scale and partial silence. It was not a remote curiosity. It was a major kingdom whose surviving monuments suggest chapters still waiting to be read. Kilwa Kisiwani proves ocean trade built cities now partly forgotten. Off the coast of Tanzania, this island city became a major Swahili trading center, linking African gold, ivory, and other goods with merchants across the Indian Ocean. Its coral stone buildings, mosques, palace remains, and harbor setting show a sophisticated urban culture shaped by wealth, faith, language, and maritime skill. Kilwa's story challenges any simple division between Africa and the wider world. It was not isolated. It was connected by sea routes reaching toward Arabia, Persia, India, and beyond. Over time, Portuguese intervention, shifting trade, and regional change weakened its position. Some people are fascinated by the idea that the ocean itself was the highway that built the city. Others wonder how many related coastal settlements remain underexplored or misunderstood. Kilwa feels like a lost city, not because it vanished completely, but because its importance has often been left out of popular history. Its ruins still face the water that made it powerful. Future lost cities may already be hidden beneath today's oceans. The idea sounds strange until we remember how many people live near coasts, rivers, and deltas right now. Human civilization keeps placing its greatest cities beside water because water brings food, trade, movement, and wealth. That same attraction creates vulnerability. Over long stretches of time, shorelines change, storms reshape land, and rising seas threaten places that feel permanent to the people living there. The lost cities of the future may not be mythical capitals or ancient ruins. They may be ports, neighborhoods, sacred sites, and familiar streets from our own age. Some people imagine future archaeologists diving through subway entrances or studying towers where fish move between broken windows. That image is speculative, but it carries a serious point. History is still making lost cities. The mystery does not only belong to the past. It is unfolding around us, wherever human ambition meets a changing planet. And so, we come back from the edges of the map. Tonight, we followed lost cities into forests, deserts, mountains, caves, and seas. We stood beside stone roads that lead nowhere, towers whose builders left no names, and underwater streets where daily life once moved beneath open air. We heard of capitals that ruled empires and then vanished from the ground. We passed through sacred ruins, buried harbors, hidden refuges, and places that may still be waiting beneath the surface of the world. Some of these mysteries have evidence you can touch. Others survive through legend, memory, and the strange pull of possibility. And perhaps that is why lost cities stay with us. They remind us that history is not a finished story. It is a landscape with sealed doors, missing pages, and old pathways that still seem to point somewhere. Maybe some cities were ended by disaster. Maybe others were abandoned by choice. And maybe a few were never truly lost at all. They were simply waiting for the right eyes, the right question, or the right shift of light across the land. If you enjoyed this curious journey, I'd be grateful if you liked the video, subscribed, or left a thought below. It helps other sleepy souls find their way here too. And if you happen to still be awake, there will be another mystery waiting for you on the screen. But for now, let the search begin to fade. Let the ruins settle back into silence. Let the old roads grow distant, and let the sea cover its secrets once more. Your part of the journey is done for tonight. So allow your shoulders to soften. Let your breathing slow. Let the day loosen its grip, little by little, until there is nothing left to solve. Sleep well, and good night.